Alright, welcome back to James Cameron's Avatar, the game, the HD version.
We go to Torukä. The next song waits. I hear the human Falco seeks your death.
Oh god, Falco's going Maverick again. Can somebody get Fox to straighten him out?
Hiya!
War is new to this world.
Nah, he's had enough chances at this point.
To Torukä.
He'll keep coming
Alright.
back, Bibs. He
Next
always
region.
comes back, even when he flies Maverick.
Also, for a reminder, the reason why I'm specifying is the HD version, because again, apparently the Wii and PSP versions follow a different plot altogether. Alright, next place, if I recall correctly, is, okay, it's still more of the same kind of jungle, because like I mentioned in part either 1 or 2, unfortunately Ubisoft did this sort of a general copy-paste kind of job for the different regions. Sure, each of them has something that leaves something unique to them, but for the most part they tend to blend in the same. There was always using the usual, you know, jungle, cliffs, and caves, environment. It seems that with the new video game, hopefully we'll be able to see more, probably in tandem with the movie, of which apparently we are actually getting new information as the day passes, some screenshots here and there. So at the very least, there is that, but at least for the time we're recording this.
Weird that we didn't get any news at D23.
I don't know. I get the idea Disney's just wanting to wait how things go, because again, despite also the success of Spider-Man No Way Home in cinemas,
Oh, that's like a Disney movie.
yeah, I was about to get co-production and everything, for people in cinema. Hold on.
I hear the troops are evacuating.
Yes.
Okay, bit of desync there.
Due to the autosave that you see on the right, on the left, it's sadly more and more of an occurrence.
They won't get away with it.
My copies.
I'll stop them.
Be warned, some of the animals behave like demons.
No,
Your people
duh!
should change them.
Look,
They
practically
no longer
everything
speak
wild
freely.
here has tried to
Well,
either
no,
kill
but
or
we're
maim us.
also mentioning that this is basically the same, telling that the humans have domesticated some of the animals to be against you. Basically, that's the
Huh.
official excuse for this level. I was about
Weird
to
that
mention,
was
okay.
never even a thing in the movie about humans domesticating some of the
Okay,
animals.
I can see this happening, however, considering, okay, there's the thing that each animal can be potentially connected to each other, because, like I mentioned, the form of Pandora works in this kind of symbiotic kind of relationship, But I can see the RDA can manage to tame these beasts in some kind of way, like electric shock color, which will reflect their cartoony behavior, let's be honest.
Oh, I
But,
get that. It's just like, well, I just thought that it's kind of weird that the movie never seemed
Well,
to think
it's
of
a
that.
liberty, but I can understand why the game would take,
I'm
also
fine
for
with
the
the
purpose of sprucing variety.
Well, I'm fine with the game doing that. I'm just thinking it's kind of weird that the movie
Yeah.
didn't, now that I think about it.
Okay, we'll say this. Some of the levels, like this one, actually take advantage of the verticality by having the plants that you can, walk around, kind of like what Tarzan 1997, the Disney version, does by surfing, which allows, different kind of planes that you can go through each level and potentially, even plummet to your death or having your enemy plummet to your death. Again, you can tell that despite the copy-pasting job, they try at the very least to give a sense of at least some kind of personality to each level. But again, in my opinion, they did not commit to the extra mile, probably because they wanted to have also easy maps for the multiplayer, So on one hand, I understand. On the other, I wish there was a bit more. But let me get back to it. I get the idea Disney might be a bit more cautious in wanting to see how the pandemic actually continues, because they probably want, of all things, Avatar 2 to be absolutely a cinema-only release, because they probably want to try to chase the tail of the success of the first movie. We'll still have to see if that will pan out or not.
I mean, I can tell you, at least here in Britain, at the time of this recording, at least here in Britain, the COVID situation is improving.
In my country, not so much. Quite the opposite, actually. But
it seems that we've hit our peak here, so things should improve. But okay, honestly, here's the thing: improving or not, I can get why people may want to play it safe and, keep the theater shut down, because just because stuff improves does not always mean it's going to be better.
Well, I do believe this solution. Saigon. Like,
I think the problem is, whenever we improve, people start to get lax with how careful they are, and then the numbers start to rise again.
Yeah, I do believe the solution we adopted in around the end of 2020 and for the first period of 2021, of having the cinema still open but with distanced seats, and proper controls at the beginning, was the ideal solution. Because at the very least there was some kind of prevention rather than just being careless there, even for when it comes to the actual viewers. But at the very least you could have some kind of,
Interesting thing you mentioned that, Tio. Here in England specifically, not the whole UK. Here in England, in terms when you go to places like a cinema or a football stadium or anything that would have a large crowd in it, we haven't enforced physical distancing, however, what might be an anomaly, I don't know. From what I can tell, very few, if any, COVID cases are linked to cinemas or football matches.
It really depends, Dweebs, and I really don't want this part just to talk about whatever is going on, because that automatically will make it dated even within a month of release. But my point being that we'll have to see what Disney wants to do when it comes to...
Because when's Avatar 2 supposed to be coming out?
December, Christmas release, obviously.
No, but he will be eager for your help.
I have to admit, part of me might be curious to potentially see it in theaters. The other will be like, other part of me is like, well, many other people will see it, and it's Disney. Do you really want to give money on them for that, or at least on that purpose? So I'll have to think about it.
If by some miracle that movie is actually good, I probably will still wait for it to come to streaming services, but hey, I guess that might be some incentive for you to check it out.
Mm-hmm. I'll go check it out in cinemas.
You mean Avatar 2?
Yeah.
Like I said before, I don't think the movie's gonna be. I don't think the movie's gonna do money. Don't get me wrong.
I literally said if by some miracle it's good. Like I'm not expecting that.
Oh, sure. I don't think it's gonna be good. What I'm saying is, in terms of its box office results, honestly, I think it's probably going to underperform by Disney's expectations, because, like I said, the movie panorama has changed tremendously since 2009.
And consider this. The first film is currently the highest-grossing film of all time. So, if Disney's
big shoes to fill.
Yeah. So if Disney's expecting something similar to that, good luck is all I'll say. Because you are gonna need it.
Yeah, the thing about James Cameron's Avatar is that it was the right movie at the right time, because it was at the time where 3D movies were starting to become a trend again.
And also that for when it first came out, it was this, well, in typical James Cameron fashion, it was an effects showcase wonderland, essentially, showing just what movies could do and giving us arguably one of the most immersive worlds based off of the effects anyway. Like, these new filming techniques and whatnot that were used marvelously. Like, and again, that's really the only good thing people have to say about Avatar these days.
An aspect of that bullshit that today is outdated.
Not to mention, at the time, people still had faith in James Cameron, but Dark Fate is now out, so... like he kind of, like he's not exactly, people aren't exactly racing to see a James Cameron movie nowadays.
There's also the fact that with the internet much more. Sorry, go on.
To be fair, Dark Fate is technically not a James Cameron movie. However, it does have that icky thing where he was a producer and he was apparently okay with the script. Mind you, James Cameron
was one of the story writers. He was one of the story writers, so yeah.
We know he was one of the big story writers, though, the main ones. Like, isn't he like, kind of mentioned as a side bit overall?
Well, I don't know. Well, okay, how about this? He's credited as one of the story writers. I don't know how much significance that means. That being said, as the producer, he approved the bloody script, so he takes his share of the blame too.
Again, the frustrating thing about a producer role in film is that producer roles are so varied with how much interference they have. Like, unless you get a behind-the-scenes look at something, producer can range from, oh, they called me over the phone, and I gave them some money and told them this or that. Maybe they might go for it or not, to, I practically ran this entire project. It is very iffy. Okay, that being said, though, yeah, all the same, people have kind of lost the faith in James Cameron. Like, if even not for Dark Fate, it's the fact that he has let the whole Avatar franchise consume his whole obsession.
I was about also to mention, like, there's also the fact that internet, compared to when the first Avatar came out, the internet panorama is much different than that. Sure, there were still a lot of people when it came out, and people talked about it, made memes, like I did mention as well, in the movie commentary. But nowadays, there are a lot more from different kinds of generations, and there's a tendency of information to spread quickly as well. So if the movie script tends to be, or at the very least, boring, people will be very quick to spread out, and people start to not care enough about who go and see it.
Pretty much. And honestly, a lot of the incentive for watching Avatar is, well, again, have they announced that they have some new filming techniques for this movie? Because if not,
I don't know. I only know very little still about, the casting and some screenshots, but I haven't checked. Anyway, now we have to destroy another one of the dragons, so let's get hyped, I guess.
Nice.
But yeah, my point is the movie probably we'll have to see if the movie manages to come out in time. We'll have to see how much it performs, and even what the plot is, because I really wonder if they just are gonna recycle the plot of the first movie, just in a different way, in a sense. They're gonna not talk about how the protagonist switches side and just stick with the simply Navi versus human conflict, properly without many different facets of it. Okay, we already are planned many other sequels, ideally after 2, so obviously it's not going to be a conclusive story, but I do wonder if we're going to try the whole being subversive, kind of thing, and have some weird plot twist towards the 2/3 mark. I don't know.
Turns out the Navi are actually the bad guys, and the humans are the ones you should be rooting
Yeah, like
for.
the Navis are actually a parasitic race, and their disappearance might be for the better or something.
It also has to go.
I got one.
Hold on. Let me just...
No, let Blips go.
Okay.
No, it'll be fast. It turns out the Navi are actually cyborgs.
Yeah, they're potentially.
How else do you explain how easy it is, apparently, to just
Honestly,
beam your mind into one?
Honestly, Dibs, in the potential scenario of that happening, I so don't give a rat's ass about the Navi that my reaction to that would be, oh no! If only I cared enough for this to piss me off.
Okay, I'm curious, Pedro. Not acting like I really care about that movie either, but I wonder, what could actually get you to legit care for and like Avatar 2? Like, what would that movie have to do?
A good story?
So, okay, I guess a better question would be, what would you consider a good story with Avatar, the franchise, as it is?
Well, how about this? Tell a story that doesn't feel trite. Something like actually go deep into the characters and make me care about them on a deeper level than the basic shit that these are the good guys and these are the bad guys. Please care.
Let's read the animals.
Like because the first Avatar movie is literally James Cameron in autopilot. Like seriously, like it's the kind of story that you can tell in your sleep because it's so trite and overplayed. Like and it's been told better before Avatar did, but
I think Avatar is overall a good sign that just because a movie makes a ton of money doesn't always mean it's gonna have you set for life. You're like, look at a lot of the cast of Avatar. Not to say that Avatar would necessarily ruin their careers, but Sam Worthington, I wouldn't say that Avatar was like a big beacon for his career.
Trampoline, you say?
Let's see.
Well, Sigourney Weaver had already done stuff before, so it was
Well,
just another movie for her.
Yeah. I mean, Sigourney Weaver doesn't count because she was already. I mean, look, she was probably one of the big name draws for this movie.
I think. Hold on, let me just wait for that.
Every Palulu whatever I've ever met.
Okay, this needs to be addressed as well. Our protagonist the dialogue of our protagonist is so schizophrenic because while he's in a situation where he needs literally to adapt to the culture of a Navi, and now he has no choice in the matter, but he seems that he wants to have, to be positive about it and wanting to do it. Most of the dialogues that he actually talks with them feels more disrespectful than anything because he always flabbergasts their terms, sometimes intentionally just to be funny, and sometimes in some of his dialogues he's almost downright aggressive towards some of the Navis. It's just all over the place with this.
Weird. It's like, okay, I get wanting to inject some comedy here and there to lighten the mood and whatnot, but that shouldn't mean character inconsistency up the wazoo.
Yeah. All right, I think I did check during the movie, but just again, let me see what Sam Worthington did movie-wise. Oh, good, it was in Wrath of the Titans in 2012. And it was in Sabotage. Oh, man.
That's right, he was in Sabotage. Again, hey, you finally get to act alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger, only it's arguably one of the worst Arnold Schwarzenegger movies ever.
Hey, Jova, I got one. Sigourney Weaver wasn't Chappie.
The only other movie that I recognize of the stuff, technically speaking, he did stuff, but the only other movie I recognize that is remotely good is Hacksaw Ridge, done in 2016.
Hey, Pedro.
Yes?
Did you know that Hugh Jackman was also in Chappie?
Yes, I do.
Okay, let me see then. Stephen
The villain, because like one of my favorite parts of our commentary of Chappie is how there's that one bit where they just show a scene where you just see Hugh Jackman's back, and this is after it's been quite a long time since we've seen Hugh Jackman's character, and I jokingly said to Dwebs, there you go, Dwebs, a shot of Hugh Jackman's back.
That's my point. You'd be forgiven for forgetting he was in that movie.
Okay, I will say this. Stephen Lang, aka the actor who played Quaritch, while he did stuff before, and relatively decent stuff, nothing too particularly, mention worthy, but still perfectly serviceable stuff. The stuff that he did after that, the three that I can see the most are the 2011 version of Conan the Barbarian, which was okay. In Moria, so bad it's so good, kind of way, at least for me. And then it was The Girl on the Train in 2013, and that was actually pretty good. Oh yeah, wait, hold on, it's not the same.
Apparently.
Whatever. And is one of the arguably the main character of the Dawn Brief series, which is actually a pretty good horror movie series.
Do not fear him.
A Thanator. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Beidamo is waiting for you. May your luck be good.
Again, Beidamo is basically your sitcom arch nemesis, where he's kind of like the Newman of this story. In the sense that he really, really hates you, but deep inside, he just needs to find the right time to be friend with you. Oh, apparently, I didn't check. Stephen Lang apparently also was in Mortal Engines. Oof.
Mortal, yeah, I have not gotten around to seeing Immortal Engines.
Well, not a lot of people did, apparently. So.
But, yeah, you know what's some big irony about Terminator Dark Fate? James Cameron, who was involved with that movie, had previously said that he really didn't like Alien 3 because he really didn't like how they just casually killed off characters that we've been wanting to see survive up to that point, and how it felt like a disgrace and disrespect to the movies that came before it. Particularly the second one.
Fucking brilliant. See, here's the thing about that movie, though. See, here's the thing. Regardless of how much involvement he had, the truth of the matter is that before the movie came out, he was right up there with Tim Miller promoting the movie, talking about how, hold on.
Has Awa gone mad?
Yeah, Whiskers and I are pals now.
Yeah, we just basically
Would
tamed
not be
that.
so sure. Go. Get your rock shards. So we
At least
can move
Beidamo seems to be more chill for this mission at the very least. So go on, Pedro.
Yeah, but the thing is, he was right there with Tim Miller promoting the movie, talking about how, we're completely ignoring every movie that came after 2. This is the real sequel to Terminator 2. You know.
I can't believe I'm saying this. I still would have preferred to have seen where Terminator Genesis was going than what Terminator Dark Fate is doing.
There's also the thing. Okay, I don't remember if people knew at that time. Maybe Dweebs can help better on that. But the new Halloween continuity did add a similar approach, and it did work out for them. So my guess is that people had faith that something similar would have happened when it came to Terminator game. Game, Jesus Christ! Put the panther down.
No, I will keep him suspended here for you.
Oh my god. Anyway.
Good boy. Good boy. You're good gravity-defying boy.
Anyway, my point is that I get the idea back then when people did not know, people thought, they were willing to give it a chance solely based on that kind of front. But just didn't know, what they were in for.
The Tatut will try to move their machines to a place sacred to our clan. We will stop them.
You gotta pick your battles, B. Is it worth dying to protect some land?
Isn't that what
Do
you're
not
helping
speak
them
like you
do?
understand. I need you to do.
Like,
Talk
you
to
know,
each
that's
other.
part of the
We
reason
are
that
done
your
speaking.
team kind of sabotage things to help them with the land. Did you
Again,
did you just
our
forget what
protagonist
we're
had-
doing?
Again, our protagonist has these weird moments, like his brain is farting just out of nowhere. Probably due to wanting to receive exposition from the Navi, but it really feels out of place, I'm not gonna lie. Anyway, let me continue with the main cast. Giovanni Ribisi, sorry. Let me see. He was in the 10 movies. That's fine.
The first one was good. The second one,
I have seen neither, so I
I
guess
was in A Million Ways to Die in the West. Oof.
Wait, is that movie good or bad?
Bad. It's Seth MacFarlane when he's not funny. Take a wild guess how that turns out.
yeah, basically. Ted was good, but after that, yeah, everything went out.
He has been in other stuff, but I don't recognize the other movies that he did on that front. Joel David Moore, as you can see. Oh, it was in Hatchet 3. Huh, interesting.
You did not have to help us, Ryder. Your choice.
Yeah, I don't recognize most of the stuff that this guy did. Well, some TV stuff like Hawaii 5-0, maybe it was like in one episode, but that's it.
There are places
In regards to what you said about the Halloween franchise, I heard that the first one in the new continuity is good, but I've heard very, 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 very mixed feelings about Halloween Kills.
Have you seen it, Wibbs?
Yes, I have.
What's your
What did you think?
opinion?
I thought it was fine. It's not as good as Halloween 2018, I don't think. But I do think the plot is okay enough. There are those kills where, okay, to be fair, yeah, it's a horror movie. You kind of have to feel that all characters, regardless of who they are and who they're played by, are in danger. And I totally get that. But there is this one death at the very end of the movie that I can feel might rub some people the wrong way.
Oh my god, did they kill again Jamie Lee Curtis?
No.
Oh, thank
The
god.
biggest complaint I've heard of...
This isn't Resurrection.
Or H2O.
Actually,
No, that was the sequel to H2O where they killed Jamie Lee Curtis.
yeah, if it were Resurrection, they'd be doing it at the beginning.
But if I understand correctly, we're finishing off things with the third movie that's supposed to come out next year or this year. I forgot.
Supposedly this year. Well, the original plan was to film them back to back, but even before COVID, that plot was dropped, and this next movie is going to take place a few years after
In
Kills.
universe. Fair
In
enough.
universe, plus they will be incorporating the pandemic into it. So.
Oh, interesting. Let's see how Michael Myers is affected by the coronavirus.
You know,
Yeah,
I'll admit,
you must social distance from Michael.
I'll admit, a lot of movies have been refraining from, acknowledging the whole pandemic, even in stuff that blatantly takes place in the
I'm
year.
fairly confident I'm very confident it's gonna eventually be incorporated in some fashion similar to, say, the 9/11 terrorist attack.
Well, wait, Theo. Hey, Michael's wearing a mask, so.
For all these years, it's actually COVID that kills Michael.
Oh my god.
Okay, I wonder if we're gonna have like a line, someone, not Jamie Curtis obviously, but someone else say, "Oh, don't you see? Michael is no real monster because these influence killed more people than him."
Well, I mean, to be honest, guys, that would be a more dignified death for Michael than being killed by either Busta Rhymes or Paul Rudd back when he was a shit actor.
But let me see. Dilip Rao has basically nothing. Well, to admit, apparently it was in Inception the year after Avatar, so he must have had a decent agent for that time. But he is mostly in TV stuff in between, and he's still supposed to come out for the sequel, to be available for the sequels.
The biggest complaint I've heard about Halloween Kills is like, well, whereas the first revival movie was relatively clever and well nuanced, apparently Halloween Kills feels like it's more one of those bout of dumb horror movies where you have to really excuse the idiocies and plot a lot more for it to happen, and a lot of people weren't too keen on that.
Well, I mean, to be honest, Joe, the idiocy has been a thing of Halloween since the very beginning.
No, dude. What I said is that apparently it's, like, stronger than before. And honestly, okay, look, what kind of idiocy you're going on depends. Like, if it's idiocy that actually does make sense with the plot, that's fine. When I say idiocy, I'm talking about the kind of idiocy that's just like, oh, the script is bad kind of idiocy.
Now, I'd say it's idiocy that happens organically because most of the characters in it, and especially a certain mob that occurs at some point during the movie and throughout the rest of, say, the second half, was more so out of panic and desperation.
I will argue James Carpenter's original.
John Carpenter?
Sorry, not James. John Carpenter's original was just fine with that.
I mean, John Carpenter is a co-scorer of the music in 2018 and Kills.
And I think he's still like an executive producer of some kind.
Well, I think at this point, Tio, I think he has more impact on the music now than anything else.
Mm-hmm. Considering it's a Blumhouse production, I can understand that.
Anyway, so what's our next mission here?
Sorry.
The usual. Again, this particular chapter was focused on the animals, taming the big panther-like enemy that we had seen in the movie, and again, destroy the human settlement that had the animals enslaved. So there's basically that.
I will give the game
but here again, we're the next after your cleanup right at the beginning, we have to collect the crystals that you need to put near the tree.
You know, I do find it.
Totally paranoid. He's got his whole merc army.
What else is new?
Great.
Okay.
No, it's because the officer was actually talking to us. Hold on.
Yeah, this device they're building, it's a ticking time bomb. We can't let Falco get anywhere near the Well Souls. I'll do what I can from here.
Okay, go ahead.
So, you know, I'll admit, it's interesting that we're meeting all these different tribes, and I do appreciate how the game does differentiate them. Though how convenient is it that apparently the one tribe we don't commune with is the tribe from the movie?
Yeah.
I mean, granted, given how big Pandora is, alright. It's weird. Like, I feel like the way to describe this game is that it's a prequel but one that's trying to tiptoe around the original movie rather than
Basically.
organically connect to it. Not necessarily
Like-
the worst thing, but, you know.
Like Pedro noticed also being one of the previous parts, it's also repeating a couple of the plot points of the movie, just in a different flavor, you know. Just to symbolize again that this is a tie-in, so it has similar elements to the movie, but it still tries to do its own thing in some kind of fashion, you know. But yeah, the only other remaining actor that I can think of is Zoe Saldana, and we already know where her career went, so there's no need to cover that.
If only she'd stay with Pirates of the Caribbean instead.
Oh, look at that! That was the big flying fucker from the movie.
While Joe, we have Moneypenny instead.
Basically, if you don't know, that one from the movie was not like a one unique sample. They're supposed to be basically like the leaders of the species of a banshee. So that makes sense why they will be in such rare quantities, or why they'll be bigger and better, you know. Wonder if we actually wanted to tame one of those. Go ahead, Pedro.
You know what's interesting about another interesting thing about Dark Fate? Like I said, James Cameron was promoting the movie right along with Tim Miller. So, we're ignoring everything after the second movie. This is the proper sequel that fans have been wanting and everything. But then
in the first 5 minutes.
But that's the thing. Later on, when the movie was reviled by pretty much everybody, as well as being a box office bomb, suddenly James Cameron changed his tune and started saying, "You know what? I had much of a better experience working with." God, I'm drawing a blank. The director of Alita.
So what you're
Robert
saying is
Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
So what you're saying is that
I had a much better
essentially-
experience working with Robert Rodriguez than I had working with Tim Miller. Like I love how
Basically, he threw Tim Miller under the bus.
Yes.
Well, I mean, to be fair, since I know you're probably gonna say James Cameron, but since Tim Miller is the director, I mean the book kind of falls on him.
No, I get that. Well, he has to, but at the same time, James Cameron approved the script. So for him to act like, for him to basically, wash his hands of the whole thing and just pretend he has no blame in this.
Okay. It doesn't sound like he was trying to pretend he had no blame here. I do wonder if this may be a case where, on the front they seem confident on it, but behind closed doors things were going iffy.
And he just needed to release a PR statement.
And also, while James Cameron... Okay. To be fair, from what I get, James Cameron was not in charge of this project. Like, it's not like he apparently had complete final say on what could or could go. I feel like that was still up to the studio who, owns Terminator. Well, yeah, but Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, I'll just say this. I don't think James Cameron is free of blame. But what I do hesitate on is how much of this is his to blame. Because, okay, in terms of him having to speak highly of it, well, that's how these projects go. More often than not, the studios involved do have you either speak highly of the product or just say nothing at all. So he wouldn't have been able to have said anything bad until, well, the project was the status he had a time to say. It's very complicated.
You know what it's like to me?
What?
It's like United Passions, where, yes, I understand that FIFA were the ones ultimately in charge of the things as they were bankrolling it. But on the other hand, bad script or not, I'm sorry, you can't give the director a free pass on that. The direction of that film was shit.
Okay. To give the director credit, he was put in charge of the task of trying to make FIFA look good. Like, no one was really on board with that.
I mean, in that respect, he did kind of do a bit of a shitty job.
Though, to be fair, FIFA actually saw that movie and approved it. So, as far as they were concerned, that movie was apparently doing its job.
I guess it was either a case where he literally did not really care, or he was actually doing similar to what Michael Sheen did, or at least according to our canon, Michael Sheen did in Breaking Dawn Part 2, and just wanted to, as we say in my country, pull the rope to see how much leeway he could actually get away with.
I found out something here. Apparently, originally the filmmakers actually wanted to make Terminator Dark Fate without Schwarzenegger. They just wanted to, not do James Cameron for the umpteenth time and actually do something different for a change of that. However, Cameron disliked the idea, as he and Schwarzenegger were friends, and he agreed to produce the film on the condition that Schwarzenegger would be involved. So yeah, so Schwarzenegger, so Cameron definitely did have a say in this movie.
I had to admit,
Well, only a
'cause
say over a few things, it sounds like. And if anything, it also sounds like he wasn't
only a
completely
name for
on
yourself.
board with this
Your own
project.
people will
And
know.
I'll admit,
You come to
honestly, Schwarzenegger was one of the better
this for
things
me.
about Dark
I'm your
Fate,
target. I'm
so
only doing what
that's
you
actually
he says
something.
here.
think I enjoy this?
As producer, Cameron was involved in pre-production and script work. Let me see the actual
You have
links
fought well,
about it.
Little Ryder.
Go on while I search.
I had to say, for all the problems that Dark Fate has, I dread to think what it would have been like that, but also without Schwarzenegger.
I
Well,
know,
Lord,
right?
Tio, we already have that. It's called Salvation.
Hey, look. Salvation is leagues ahead of Dark Fate.
And that's saying something, because in that movie is also
Yeah.
a pile of garbage. It's just slightly better smelling garbage.
It's the most.
Like-
It's the dullest film out of the bunch.
Ironically,
that
Salvation
movie.
may actually be the most unique of the Terminator films, in just
Oh,
the
it
sense
is.
that it's not the typical Terminator formula. In fact, if anything, it's actually us seeing what the war
That's
is
why
like
it's
in
not
the deep of
technically.
it.
That's why, despite being a sequel, it's not a numbered title. You know, I get the
that's
idea
the-
that from the beginning they wanted to treat it more like an actual spin-off, as a spin-off-esque type of title, as in what would happen, you know, in the actual far future of the war against the machines, rather than to be focusing again on the
that's
time
the-
travel.
That's the thing, though. You can be as unique as you want, but if you do it badly and be dull at the same time, and as his box office showed, no one would give a shit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
It was
look,
also
look.
it was
Oh,
also
don't
the
get me wrong.
aesthetic waves, like I mentioned.
Oh,
They
there you go.
ditched the entire aesthetic of the franchise in favor of the whole brown and dull. But go
Don't
ahead,
get me wrong,
Pedro.
Salvation is still bad. It's just that I will take that over Dark Fate any day.
Well, yeah. Dark Fate is basically a big hate letter to Terminator fans. But the point is, yeah. Here you go. I went to the article that Wikipedia was referencing right here. He said to Deadline.com in 2019, and I quote: This is James Cameron. We spent several weeks breaking story and figuring out what type of story we wanted to tell, so we would have something to pitch Linda. So yeah, he does claim to have been a part of, you know, the story crew figuring out the story and everything. So yeah, he was involved in.
Unless it's the
Yeah,
case.
yes, he had a
Pedro.
team. He had a team, but he was part of that team and definitely going over the story, according to him. You know?
Unless it's the case that I kept mentioning occasionally from time to time, where the original draft was even worse and it was his touch that put it in the state that it is.
Let me put it like this, James Cameron has had troubles, yes, I do admit. I just find it really hard to believe that he was completely okay with Dark Fate, given how it doesn't even line up with his principles that have lasted even to this time, you know. And let me put it like this, between him and Tim Miller, I am definitely more willing to believe that Tim Miller is the one behind a lot of these problems. Whereas James Cameron, at the very least, seems like a guy who more or less has a clean idea that is, at worst, decent. Tim Miller feels like that guy who, well, okay, he's kind of like how Tamim is from Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory.
Theory, essentially. He's like a bull in a china shop who basically does what he wants and screw what the fans want, which is really a bad mentality to have. Yes, I get it. You don't have to give fans everything what they want, but shouldn't the idea of this entertainment be to, you know, listen
Not
to the
piss them
fans
off,
at least? Yeah,
Well, it's like
exactly.
It's not even
like,
a matter of having to satisfy an outcome, just not pissing them off. It will be fine.
That's true.
It's like I said before. You know, there's always a fine line between, you know, the creator doing what he wants to do and the fans, you know, say what they want. If there is such a thing as going too far in one direction. If you go too far in the directing direction, there's a high chance you'll do something that really ticks off the fans. If you do it in the other direction, you might as well have the fans direct the film.
Wow,
Alright.
ironically,
Screw
sometimes
creativity.
ironically, sometimes the fans actually do a better job at it than the actual creators.
All right, let's place the crystals and sing the song of our people for these three.
Let us do such.
Yep.
What song can we use?
You'll
There
see.
you go. One.
I know. How about we sing? How about we sing "Smells Like Teen Spirit"?
Nah, too
Sure,
overused.
why not? I mean, compared to Pan, in this particular universe, it would make more sense to be present, like according to Dweebs is at canon too.
Here, I thought you were about to say Black Widow, which also used that song.
Here's another one.
And 3.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Alright, with this we can actually, again, since this is kind of a bit formulaic, now we can actually go back to the main tree and actually sing properly the song.
Spirit lives within
There you go.
Oh,
The priestess and actually complete the next piece of a
I'm
puzzle.
only trying to do the right
I was afraid for a second that. Oh wait, that was it. That
No,
was the song
no.
we sung.
Well, yeah, again, we don't really hear much of the song. Even when it actually eventually completed, you don't really hear it in its entirety.
Don't underestimate
It's more of a
the
concept of an idea of a vocal password, basically.
I hope you are right, Ava Ryder.
Alright, go ahead, Pedro.
Yeah, basically, there's another interview with Collider, where Collider asks him, when did you actually see a cut of the film, and what sort of feedback did you give Tim in terms of shaping the final feature? And he replies, well, I saw a rough cut right after the first year, and it transformed quite a bit after that. I think David Ellison and I and Tim worked together to try to find the best film that could emerge from that. There you go.
Ah,
John.
the
According
key
to-
word being
this-
try there.
Yeah,
He
this,
doesn't-
according to him,
He doesn't say that they succeeded though. Like, look,
well,
I've seen a lot of his PR talk here and there, and I don't know. Okay, with the way things are worded, it could go one way either way. Either he was genuinely in this, or it's kind of like when Stan Lee talked highly of One More Day, and yet in the comic book, newspaper strips pretty much undid it right there and then. Like, I'm wondering if this is a case similar to Deadpool 1, where, yeah, that movie was liked, but later, and I do mean years later, Ryan Reynolds revealed just how much of a terror it was working with Tim Miller on this one. I do wonder if James Cameron is trying to word this as nicely as possible. And again, look, normally, yeah, I totally blame him. It's just that all of this stuff really seems to contradict stuff about James Cameron that I know, and given how tricky the world of PR can get, for all we know, this is his clever way of saying, yeah, we tried, but, well, certain forces stopped us from doing it. Never mind the fact that, well, he does also throw Tim Miller under the bus, which now seems to suggest that there may have been troubles in paradise here and there. I really do wonder if this was a case where the studios, while giving in to some of James Cameron's demands, still gave lead control to Tim Miller on the ideas here and there. Because Dark Fate just does not feel like a James Cameron picture. And yeah, I get it, it's technically not one, but like, even at his worst, James Cameron has this certain style, this print of quality. But
Yes,
Dark
ironic you
Fate
say
has
that,
none
Joe.
of that.
It's ironic you say that, Jeremy, considering how earlier in the year, Alita Battle Angel, another film which had Cameron's involvement in it, felt more like a James Cameron movie than a Robert Rodriguez.
For that one, for that one, Cameron actually was a co-writer of the script in general.
Yeah,
so.
he did mention that he had the script ready from the 90s, apparently.
Now that
No,
one, now that one does feel more like a Cameron endeavor here, whereas with Dark Fate, I just, well, okay, I'll just say it, something's run in Denmark with that and leave it at that for a potential Generations commentary.
Well,
Yeah.
we can talk more about that in the next part, where we actually do get to find the third song. See you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.